3406.
Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is Sierra Yankee 1, Echo Bravo Echo from Greece, and I received another radio. This time is from Radtel. I didn't know a Radtel before, now it's time to have a look at one of them. The model is the RT-900. It is a multi-band radio, we'll see the specs later. Let's just do the unboxing in the first place. One thing you might notice is the Bluetooth sticker that's on the radio. This is because the RT-900 comes in two versions. One is without Bluetooth and the other one is with Bluetooth. I would suggest that if you buy one of these, that you take the Bluetooth version. Not only because it's easier to program from your smartphone on the go, but because this version has also a noise reduction function. Let's see what's in the box. A user manual, as usual. One of the classic rubber antennas that come with every radio. Right, VHF and UHF. A USB charger. Okay, a USB-C charging cable. And the radio. There is an interesting choice here from Radtel. The clip goes on the battery, not on the radio body. Don't mind this adapter here. This didn't came with the radio. I put it in all my radios, so it's the usual SMA connection down here. Okay, now one of the things that caught my attention in this radio is that it offers, as it says, CB and HF transmission. Although this is most a gimmick, if you ask me, because it's mainly VHF-UHF radio, but it offers CB and HF transmission out of the box without having to modify any files, firmware, or do any tricks to the radio. This, of course, doesn't mean that it's an actual CB radio. Of course, it's good to know that out of the box you can go down to 18 MHz, for instance, and it just takes the frequency and you can transmit in that frequency, or the 26-27 MHz for the CB radio. Now, before we proceed, let's have a look on the radio itself. As I said, an interesting choice from Radtel to put the clip on the battery. The battery is quite big, size-wise, but it's a good radio in your hand. I can't say that it feels strange or bad. Here we have the two pins, the Kenwood connector, and on the side here is the PTT button, the PF2 and PF3. We're going to see about those buttons later. On the main keyboard, as you can see, standard layout, but here the buttons under the screen are two function buttons. If you press here the upper part, you change between the VFOs, and here between memory and VFO mode. Also down, it's OK and menu, and down here is the exit. The screen is full color, really clear, I would say, and let's have a quick look in the menu. So we start, of course, squelch, step, TX power. We have three selections, high, mid and low. Power save, again three selections. There is off, normal mode, sorry, it's four selections, super mode and deep mode. I would suggest, if it doesn't bother you in reception, to leave this in deep mode. Okay, Vox, wide, narrow, that's the backlight, how long the screen should be on. TDR, this is the dual watch. Okay, the beep, timeout timer. You can modify the memory channels from here, delete and add. CTCSS, DCS, and transmission. Another thing here that we see in many radios of this kind, the voice pre-function. I don't use it, no need for that in my experiments. Channel name, Roger, voice, language, backlight, and this is the scan mode. Okay, here we have programmable side keys, as we have seen in some other radios, but we have them here too. This is the PF2, this one, and I have set it to FM tuner. This is again the PF2 here, but long press. I have set it to scan mode. And this is the PF3, the one down here. This one has only short press selection. And I have set it to search. We'll see that in a minute. Offset, of course, if it's gonna be positive or negative. Power on message. You can change the logo in this radio also to put your call sign or any image you like. Okay, here we have DTMF stuff, autolock, scan add, the tone, the repeater tone, PTTLT, that's the delay of the PTT in DTMF, I think. Menu exit time, Vox delay, squelch state elimination for the repeaters, the display if we have name or frequency. That's the selection of the TX, if it's going to be A, B or off, the primary TX. Squelch state elimination, alarm, scramble. It has scramble function right in the menu, no hidden menus here. This is the feature I told you in the beginning of the video, noise reduction. It's in the Bluetooth model. I would suggest that you take this model. And of course Bluetooth for programming. We have set it to on, and as you can see, here's the small Bluetooth symbol up here. Reset. And the version of the firmware, we're gonna see later how to update it. Okay, let's do a quick test in Airband. It receives Airband, and let's see how it goes. I'll put my external antenna on, and let's select the volmet frequency here in Greece. Very nice. As you can see, it started receiving immediately, no problem with a signal overload here. One thing that you will see is that when you receive or transmit, you have a message box on the screen covering the VFO that is not in use. That's a good thing in my opinion, because you can see quickly where you are and which VFO up or down you're using. So right now we're using the upper VFO. There's a pop-up box here that says ARX. That's a programming feature that I like in this radio. Other things we can notice here is as soon as I put the frequency in, it went to AM, and we have also a RSSI bar down here. And let's check how it responds to VHF. I'm going to change from VFO mode to memory mode. Okay, I put one of the repeaters that are in the area up here, and if I press the PTT, I should have a response. Perfect. As I said before, the two buttons here are programmable. Let's see how they work. I have in the PF2 button, the upper one here, the orange one, the radio and the scan function. So if I press one time, I have the FM broadcast. Okay, I press again and we go out. And if I hold it, the radio starts scanning through the frequencies with the steps that we have programmed in the menu. One thing that you can do here is that if you use the up or down buttons, the way of the frequency changes. So if I press the up, it goes higher. If I press the down, it starts going back down. And this also happens with the rotary encoder we have here. We turn to one direction, starts go down. We turn to the other direction, starts again go up. To exit the scan mode, you keep pressed again the same button. I forgot to mention that this radio, although I wouldn't expect it in this price category, it has a rotary encoder for frequency and channel selection. So if you're here in the band that you have selected, you can start changing the frequencies from here. Much easier, if you ask me, than the buttons up and down. And also if you are in the channel mode, like we have up here, you can change between the saved channels that you have in the memory of the radio. And the PF3, the down button here that has only one function that you can program, I have put it in what it says here as search, and actually this is the way to catch a transmitting frequency in your area that you don't know which one it is. So if I press that, we have this message here, search SY1EBE. As you can see here, it says VHF. You can change that to other bands from the OK button, 200, 350, and again UHF. And if I have a transmitting radio in the area, we caught up something, as you can see. Let's try this one more time. This is a PMR frequency, pretty fast, and we press again to exit. Now I'm going to hook this up to the PC and we're going to see programming and firmware flashing. And since I'm getting more forgetful day by day, before connecting the Radtel to the laptop, I should measure if it outputs really 8 watts as it says. Right, I'm going to test this in CB, VHF and UHF bands, the high power setting. Let's go first with the channel 11 in CB. We have it in high mode, and here is our meter. Let's see what it outputs. 3 watts. 3 watts in CB. Not bad. It's not a CB radio. So let's try the VHF now. I'm gonna change banks here. Right, this is high power in 145 megahertz. And let's see here. More than 8 watts. 8.0 something. That's pretty impressive. I mean, this radio delivers. Now we're gonna test the UHF band. Okay, we have 440 megahertz in high mode. 7.6 something watts. Pretty good in UHF also. So I would say that this radio, as it came into my hands, is an 8 watt radio. No exaggerations there. It delivers. This is really great for this budget radio. Usually you don't expect that. So thumbs up to Radtel.
A few moments later.
Right, so I have connected the Radtel RT-900 to my laptop and let's see some of its features. As you can see here, this is the Bluetooth version. It has Bluetooth programming from iPhone or Android phones. Noise cancellation. Watch this part. This is only in the Bluetooth version, the noise cancellation. As you can see here, a graphic from the company. 8 watt radio, 2200 milliamp battery. It says here 256 storage channel, but this has changed. This is another good thing I have to say about the good folks in Radtel. They seem that they care about their customers. From the point that I received the radio until a week later, there was a firmware upgrade that fixed some errors and also doubled the size of the channels. So now we have 512 channels. Of course, we have multi-band reception, Airband, FM tuner radio, VHF, UHF of course, NOAA channels for our friends in the US. We don't use them here in Europe, and other typical functions of this kind of radios. Of course, another plus point, as I have said to some of my other videos, is the USB-C charging directly to the battery. Before we proceed with the programming of the radio, I would suggest to go to the site of Radtel. I'm going to put the link in the description of the video, and download any relevant software you can for your version, your model. As you can see here, this is the RT-900 Bluetooth version, and we can download the programming app for the Android phones or get them directly from these QR codes for Android and iPhone. And here we have the CPS programming software, which comes in 2 versions because of the change of the firmware I told you before in the number of channels. So we have the old CPS, which is for the 256 channels, and the new CPS, which is for the 512 channels. I have already downloaded the one for the 512 channels, and now I'm going to upgrade the firmware to the latest one that is on the site of Radtel that fixes some minor problems, and also, as I said before, it takes the radio up to 512 channels. Just be very careful to select the right version for you, if you have the Bluetooth version, or down here if you have the no Bluetooth version. The latest firmware at the time of making this video for the Bluetooth version is the one with the number code 250108. And let's see how the firmware upgrade is done. Okay, in the file that you will download, there are instructions, a list of what has changed in this firmware, the programmer, and the firmware file. There is also an instruction video from the people in Radtel on how to activate the firmware upgrade mode in your radio. As we see here, you have to press the 2 programmable buttons on the side and turn on the radio, and then on the screen we'll have this message here that says update. Okay, let's do it. I'll pause the video to press those buttons on my radio, and I'll be right back. Okay, now the radio is in update mode. We're going to open the provided up. I'm sorry, it's in Chinese. Maybe this should be translated, but in the video that is provided in the firmware file, you can see that the procedure is very easy and it tells you which buttons to press. For starters, I would say don't press the red button yet. You don't have to press it. If everything goes well, you don't need this button. So here you're going to select the firmware file. As I said before, at the time of making this video, it's version 108 with the code 250107. And then we're going to select the port that the computer has found our radio, as it shows it's COM12, and press this button here. And the flashing has started. We wait a bit, and it's done. As you can see up here, it says 100%. That means that the flashing has succeeded and our radio is in the latest firmware. Now let's have a look at the CPS that Radtel provides for this radio. Okay, it's a classic design for the CPS software. Let's select the port that our radio is connected, just to be sure, and we read from the radio. As you can see on the screen of the radio, it writes program, and it has downloaded all the memories that I have passed in. I have here PMR and GMRS channels. The CPS is pretty much, if you have used any other radio of this kind, it's pretty much the same. Here are the channels and everything you can change for them. Power settings, bandwidth, scramble and stuff like that. And up here we have the other features of the radio that are in the menu. As you can see up here, the two programmable buttons on the side, PF2 and PF3. I have already set them to radio scan and search. I showed the functions before. And here we have all the other settings that are in the menu that you can change to your liking. Down here is the power on message that I told you before, that you can change the boot up image for this radio, and it has two options, battery voltage and preset icons. It should say logo, but you understand what it is. If we put it to preset icons, it will show the logo of Radtel when it comes from the factory, but we can change it to whatever we like. Now let's see the programming of the RT-900 with the CHIRP program, a well-known program that most radio amateurs like and use, and we always urge the companies to make drivers for CHIRP so their handhelds can be used with it to be programmed. The RT-900 is not yet in the official list of the radios that CHIRP supports, but there's a guy that has developed a driver for this handheld, and it's shared in the CHIRP website. I will put the link of this file in the description, so we can see now how it works. Let's open CHIRP. For this to work, you have to put CHIRP in something that's called developer mode. It's here in the help menu, and you have to check this option that says developer mode. After you enable it for the first time, you have to close CHIRP and open it again. It will ask you to do so, and after that you can load the driver file that is third party and not supported officially yet by CHIRP. So you go to File, Load Module. It will display a warning like this, and then you have to find the file that you have downloaded. This file is for the RT-900. You open it, and then you can see on the title bar that says module loaded. Now, for this instance of CHIRP that is opened, we can use and connect the Radtel RT-900 normally as we would with CHIRP. So you go to Radio, download from Radio, select the appropriate COM port and the maker and the model. Here in the model, you have to go down and select RT-900 BT for Bluetooth, if you have the Bluetooth version, and click OK. Right, so everything now is downloaded from the RT-900. As you can see, my memories are already displayed here, the PMR, GMRS frequencies that I have for the tests. And you can go to the other tabs of CHIRP. It has again here all the menu functions that you can change from within the radio, but you can also change them here. And if you go at the section that says model specific, this is for the Bluetooth version. You can see that we have enabled the noise reduction. Here is the Bluetooth option, and here are the PF2 and PF3 keys and what exactly they will be programmed to do. As I said previously, I have the PF2 in FM radio and long press at scan, and the PF3 in search frequency. So nothing else to check here. CHIRP is as usual, and most of us know how to use it. It's easier than the provided CPS most of the time. So this is another option for the RT-900 and another thing that is plus for this radio. Now, before I close this video and tell you my opinion about the RT-900, let's just quickly see how the Bluetooth programming is done. I have downloaded the Radtel app in my Android phone and I have installed it already. As you can see here, it is this one. It says Radio Frequency Programmer. When you open the application, you will see a warning that it needs permission to access your location because otherwise the Bluetooth programming will not work. You have to select Sure, and you are presented with this screen here. Now remember to have opened the Bluetooth in the radio, and then you have to click here Connect. It will ask you for permission for the location. As I said before, you have to allow this, and after a while it will present you with a list of Bluetooth devices in which you will see, as it says here, Walkie-Talkie. You will select this device and it has connected to our radio. From here you will select Read. As you can see in the radio, it displays programming, and now everything is downloaded from the memory of our radio in our phone. Now, before you make any changes here and proceed to programming the radio, you have to save this profile. This is how this application works. You save the profile, you make changes, and then you can select another profile, or you can upload the previously changed profile back to the radio. So down here you have to press this pink save button and give your profile a name. Let's say RT-900. Save. And here you can program all the channels that are available. Right now it has downloaded the channels from the radio, so as you can see here, number 1 is the PMR1 channel, number 2 is the PMR2 channel. It's what I have passed before from the CHIRP programming. All the options for this channel are here. Here is the frequency mode, the VFO mode. You can change those settings here and save the profile again, as I said before. And here are the other options of the menu of the radio. So you can do this on the go. As you can see, we have here TDR on, the dual reception, and all the other options of the menu of the radio. So the profile is already saved as RT-900, as I said before. If you make any changes, let's say I'm going to change the squelch level to 2. You're going to save the profile again, select and place the profile. Now it's saved. And if you want to pass this programming back to the radio, you go in the first screen, you select this profile and press right. Radio is in programming mode, and all the options are now passed back to the radio from your Android phone. That was it. The radio rebooted and the device disconnected. It's a pretty nice feature to have on the go. Let's say that you're out of your base, you don't have a laptop with you or access to one, you don't want to fiddle with the keyboard programming of the radio. You can do it with your phone quickly and easily, and you can also have different saved profiles in the phone and upload them quickly back to the radio. Now, to finalize this video, a few last words for the Radtel RT-900. I was pretty impressed by this radio because the cost is not of a high-end radio. It's about 30-something euros, the price that I found in AliExpress, and it offers some features that other radios don't have. One thing is the rotary encoder on the top of the radio. Very useful, very easy to use. We usually see it in more high-end radios, and I really like that this one has it. Two other features in this version: noise cancellation and Bluetooth programming for on-the-go, easier programming with profiles that you can have stored in your phone. It's an 8-watt radio and it delivers. I mean, we don't see that often in this category of the radios. You hear 10 watts and it's 8 watts. You hear 5 watts and it's 4 watts. This one says 8 watts, and at least the model that I have in my hand is 8 watts. That's pretty nice. It's multiband. It says, okay, CB and HF transmission, but you can do that in an emergency. Not much power to give there, but it's unlocked in those frequencies, so you can use it. No other modification needed. It's unlocked by the factory. Radtel seems to take care of this product with updating the firmware, fixing problems, and adding features. The one last thing that happened was to double the size of the channels, of the memory channels, from 256 to 512, and that's a good thing for a company. It cares for its customers and its products. I had pretty good reception signal here. The one test that I do always is the Airband reception, directly from my external antenna to the radio, with no filters for signal overload, and it worked just fine. So I would say it's a pretty solid radio, totally worth its money, and that's a good thing to see from a company these days. I believe we're going to see this radio in the future again at some point for any new features that pop up or any changes that I will find. Thank you again for watching this video. Subscribe to my channel to get notifications about new videos and to support me, and see you all next time.